Welcome to A Space to Speak Your Mind,
a radio programme and a podcast about mental health and wellbeing.
Made by people with lived experiences as part of a wellbeing group run by Cornwall Mind.
We do occasionally cover subjects that some listeners may find distressing.
For more information, help and support, please visit cornwallmind.org.
A Space to Speak Your Mind with Cornwall Mind.
Welcome to the January programme. I'm Richard, and on this month's show, I'll be chatting to Waterloo Road actor Tillie Amartey on how to avoid those awkward New Year's resolution conversations with friends and family. You may remember her as Emma Miller, starring alongside Ant and Dec in Byker Grove. Now actress Holly Matthews is using her new career as a self-development coach to highlight the importance of long-lasting connections, and she'll be telling me more. And we'll look back to the conversation Victoria had with Serena from Sunrise Cornwall on World Mental Health Day. That's all on this month's show.
A Space to Speak Your Mind.
When it comes to friendships, the secret to a long-lasting one is often attributed to what you have in common. With more than 2/3 saying that their friends share some of the same hobbies, it's no wonder 20% say social activities are what attracted them to their main friendship group. Actress Holly Matthews knows all about the joy having a hobby can bring, and she joins me now, so thank you for being here.
Oh, you're so welcome. And what a gorgeous subject to be chatting about.
Why does having a hobby lead to great friendships?
Well, I think anecdotally, we already know ourselves that if we've got a mutual hobby, then we've got things to talk about, we've got things to connect on. Also, I found it quite interesting, as the person that usually forgets to message my friends, 29% of people said they were much more likely to keep in touch with their friends if they had a hobby that they shared, whatever that might be. So they would connect and stay in touch because of that. So I think it's one of the reasons that hobbies really connect us. And I think also when we are engaged in a hobby and we're excited about something, we tend to be our more authentic self. And so when we connect with people in that space where we are our truest selves, then we are much more likely to keep those friendships.
I think what's great about having an activity as well is it allows us to have conversations as well, so we can catch up with people, we can find out when things are wrong or if there's something someone's going through. I think it's really good to have something as an anchor that we can use and also enjoy the activity as well.
Absolutely. And in the research from Disney Lacana Trading Card Games, they were talking exactly about that. They found that 58% of people in the research shared that they were much more likely to share personal information. So when we're talking about well-being, which is absolutely my world, we're always, asking people to talk when they're feeling things are difficult, but we know we find that hard. So if you're engaging in a hobby, whatever that is, you're playing games with your friends, you're chatting in amongst that, and you're much more likely to share things, which is a really special thing that we're able to do that. And I think as well, when we're playing games, especially for those that are anxious or perhaps introverted, when we're playing a game, it sort of gives us a structure without the small talk. So we're not having to worry about that because there's a kind of structured setup there for us to engage in our hobbies, which is easier for a lot of us, and there's a space there for us to then connect with those friends and potentially make new friends without the pressure of that kind of awkward, what do you say kind of thing.
Yeah, it's also good to just take our minds off things. I mean, sometimes we can have our minds whirring with so much that's going on in our lives, but having a focus as well and learning and socialising, being active, these are all the pillars around well-being, aren't they?
For sure. And there's that present feeling when it comes to our hobbies, that it's a practice of mindfulness. We think of mindfulness as being sitting, meditating somewhere, but actually you're very present in that moment. So you're not thinking about the bills that you've got to pay or whatever else you've got to do or life or work stresses. You're just having fun. And there's something so beautiful in my own work. I'm often talking to my clients about finding playfulness, and I've got 2 kids, so I'm very lucky that they keep me young and being able to do that kind of stuff. But you don't have to have children to enjoy having fun and hobbies and playing games.
It must be great in one sense that you've got young children that you can play activities with, but for you, is it a case of that's where your activities are, or do you get to have time away where you're able to do something away from the home life?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have friendship circles outside of my kids, and we absolutely will engage in hobbies. I'm a very creative person, so I like to draw and I like to sing, dance and act, and so that's always been part of my kind of hobbies, and certainly my kids enjoy that as well, and they definitely introduce me to new hobbies. And I am a 40-year-old child, so I don't mind doing whatever games or fun that they want me to get involved in.
And when it comes to friendships, have you found someone from a friendship circle that you've met through an activity?
Well, for sure. I think throughout my life, if I think about the hobbies that I've engaged in, and I say largely they've been very creative or imaginative, and I've always been open to anything in that space. Over the years, I've got friends from being a young kid. And I'd say it was probably in two spaces. One, it was the creative side, the acting, dancing, singing side, but then also the football side, which also is the hobbies that people have enjoyed. And although I didn't play football, I'm a Newcastle fan. Around that, when I was younger, there was the cards and the stickers that were associated with that and the swapping of those, just like we're saying with the Disney trading cards. It's that there was something in that. There was an excitement of getting a new pack. And that's something that's always kind of stayed with me. And I've got friends that I could still converse with those. And actually in some of the research that we were looking at into hobbies, we found that we often enjoy our hobbies because there's a nostalgia element to them that remind us of being a kid. And it keeps us feeling young when we get to engage in those things. So there's lovely, lovely parts to having a hobby and engaging in that hobby when it comes to our mental health. And there's so much benefit that we find in it. I think you can always get involved in your local area. There will always be local hobby groups, whatever you kind of feel pulled to do. But I would always encourage people to try lots of different things, because you never know what thing you're going to try is going to be the thing that actually has you making new friends, might even take you on something that becomes a thing that you work in. You never know. And sometimes, as adults, we lock off what we should or shouldn't be doing. We think, I'm not that person. I wouldn't be doing that dance class or whatever else it is. That's not me. But I would really encourage you to try things. So anything that I've been saying today, whether it's football or you're dancing or you're trading cards, go and explore it and see what it is. And you might just find a lovely little community in that area. And I think that's a huge aspect of having a hobby, is finding those community. And you never know where that's going to lead. Friendships, love interests, all sorts could happen.
And where can we find out more about what we've been talking about today?
If you head to ravensburger.co.uk, lots of new hobbies on there for you to go and explore. So go and have fun with that. And I would love to hear. So Holly Matthews, come and say hi to me on social media and let me know what hobbies I should be getting involved in as well.
Thank you so much for talking to us. That's Holly Matthews.
Thank you so much.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
Back on World Mental Health Day, Victoria chatted with Serena from Sunrise Cornwall, and here's how the conversation went.
Hi, I'm joined by Serena from Sunrise Cornwall. Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yeah, we've got World Mental Health Day today. So what does that sort of mean to you, and what activities have you got going on?
Well, it's an incredibly important day globally. It's a day to help reduce the stigma, really, around mental health and talking about our mental health if we're struggling, just really making it more normalised to talk about mental health, reducing any shame or stigma, like I said. And we've been invited to the World Mental Health Day event at Royal Cornwall Showground in Weybridge. So it's being organised by the Cornwall Foundation Trust, and they've invited all the Cornish, or many of the Cornish organisations that are involved in mental health, such as Cornwall Mind, People in Mind, Pentreath, Active Plus, Cornwall Colleges, the Autistic Community of Cornwall, and lots of other organisations like ours as well. We've only really been going for a year, and we only became a CIC in March, so we're sort of relatively new on the scene. So it's going to be lovely to meet with other organisations that we haven't met yet before and sort of share ideas and share best practice. And it's all about celebrating sort of like good news stories and experiencing some wellbeing sessions and things. So it should be a really fantastic day to be involved with.
Yeah, sounds great. So tell me about Sunrise Cornwall. I mean, I don't know a lot about you guys. Tell us about how you set up this charity and what it means to you.
So my husband and I set up Sunrise Cornwall. We had the idea last summer, 2023, and sort of did a bit of a soft launch this time last year, exactly on World Mental Health Day, I'm pretty sure it was, just to put the feelers out there, because we've always known we wanted to do something. So this is in memory of my brother Sonny, who was my younger brother. He took his life in January 2019, so nearly 6 years ago now, and he was 35 years old. And he had suffered from mental health difficulties for a long time, so about 14 years before he died. And it was a huge struggle for him and for the family and friends to see him suffer so much. And he had spoken about suicide a few times and attempted, but obviously when it did happen, it was a huge shock. And we just want to do something positive in his memory, because he was such an amazing person. He was so loved by everyone who knew him.
Yeah.
But sadly, and especially in the last few years while he was ill, he was just so isolated. He isolated himself. I think didn't realise how much people thought of him. And it's just really to, keep his memory alive. And focusing on helping people, supporting people that have also lost someone to suicide. He was an incredible musician and artist. So sort of the main themes of Sunrise Cornwall is to we offer safe and supportive and free events and workshops and activities based around music and art, but also well-being is a huge component of what we do as well. After Sonny died, a few months after he died, we organised sort of a mini music festival in his honour called Sunfest. And that was just really brilliant, really amazing collaboration between lots of friends and musicians that we know. And it was a sellout. It was at the Eco Park, and it was just such a really positive event.
Brilliant.
It was so good. And we raised about £1,500 for Man Down. And ever since then, people have asked Elliot and I, when are you going to do another Sunfest? When are you going to do another Sunfest? And quite soon after that, COVID happened. So obviously things all went crazy. And we had young children at the time. And it was only sort of last summer that we kind of felt ready to sort of do something again. We obviously had to go through our own healing to be able to facilitate others. And obviously that is an ongoing journey, like it never goes away. It's an ongoing process, but we felt like it was the right time to sort of set something up formally. So music, art and well-being are the themes, and we have some amazing facilitators on board. We've all been through some sort of mental health and suicide awareness and assist training. And we're just wanting to invite people who have been affected by suicide, and unfortunately there's so many of those in Cornwall. There's about 70 to 80 suicides per year, sadly. The shocking statistics. And for each suicide, it's known that around 135 people are directly affected. And then their mental health is compromised. They're more likely to experience anxiety, depression, trauma, and unfortunately more likely to consider suicide themselves. So it's sort of, we want to acknowledge that those people exist, build a community where if you've been through a similar experience, we can sort of be together and do activities, and then we can talk about it if we want to, but there's no pressure to. It's just, there's something sort of special about being in a situation where you know people have been through something really similar. You have a sort of understanding where you don't even have to speak about it. So that's sort of it in a nutshell.
I've had a few people on the show who have either admitted that themselves they've reached that point where they've considered suicide, or they've had someone very close to them, like a relative. So it's it seems to be a lot of people are affected by it.
It is. It's probably about 10,000 people per year in Cornwall alone, which is a huge number of people. And when you've been through a trauma like that, it's hard to talk about it sometimes to people that might not understand, or other people might find it hard to talk to you about it, even though I always want to talk about Sonny because he was just so special, and it's just an incredibly sad situation, but hopefully being able to talk about things a bit more and reducing the stigma about suicide and reducing the ripple effect, hopefully, which is when you've been affected and then it contributes to your own mental health difficulties. if we can reduce that just slightly, just by reducing the isolation around, having those conversations, and then that's what we want to do, really. We just want to create safe spaces that people can express themselves, and music and art can just be such incredible healers themselves. And then when you've lost someone, often you're told to sort of look after yourself and look after your well-being, but it's quite hard to know exactly what to do sometimes. So it's offering those opportunities to explore new things like yoga, and other things we've got that we want to do as well. So it's giving people those methods and tools that have certainly helped me and people that I know, our friends and family. It's offering those tools and hopefully making something positive out of experience.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's definitely what you're doing, and the provision of safe spaces is so important. People really need that.
But what we would love to do is encourage more men to come along, and encourage more men to come along to our events generally. I think it's the same for many organisations. It does seem to be women that are perhaps more up for trying these things.
Yeah.
Maybe there's still a little bit of barrier for men, which is why, we're going to be focusing even more heavily on music in the next year or so, because that seems to just unite everybody. We held a live music event in March, which was really good. It's a fundraiser, and there seemed to be like a really good balance of men and women. So we're really focusing on trying to get more men involved as well, for sure.
I think that's great, because men's mental health is certainly a big kind of topic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very relevant for us as well, with Sonny and his friends that have been left behind. And it just seems to be our generation and the one before, where talking about men's mental health was always just such a difficult thing. Hopefully that's changing a bit, but there is still that sort of maybe resistance or barrier for some men to try things, to maybe even admit that they're having mental health difficulties, and then trying things and sort of being open to things. But the best thing that people can do, anybody, men or women, is just talking about it and talking to someone. So it's just starting those conversations, really. That's the key.
Absolutely. Do you have any particular plans for the future? Anything kind of coming up that you'd like to share with people?
We're starting to think about arranging an acoustic live music event in the spring. We've got a few ideas for some music workshops as well. We've got some contacts that we're talking to, just to come and experience the instruments and get creative and just make loads of noise.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Super. How else can people get involved, donate, and find out more about you, your social media, website, etc.?
Yes, we've got a website, which is sunrisecornwall.org.uk, and on there we have, we're trying our best to update the events as and when we can. We have a social media presence, so we're on Facebook pretty much every day. So Facebook, so it's Sunrise Cornwall. On Instagram, which is Sunrise Cornwall CIC. We're on LinkedIn as well. We may start doing a TikTok soon. That's in the pipeline. So social media and website are the main ways that you can find out what we're doing. And you can contact us through those platforms as well. So myself or Elliot will pick that up and answer any queries.
Super. That's great. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us today. And obviously this is a big day. So enjoy the day.
Thank you. Yeah, you have a good day too.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
This is Richard on A Space to Speak Your Mind, and the new year is a time where we get asked all those questions about what we have planned for the next 12 months, those New Year resolutions from well-meaning family members. And Waterloo Road actor Tillie Amartey has tips on how to avoid these awkward conversations that we might have. And she joins me now, so thanks for being here, Tillie.
Well, thank you for having me.
So what are those awkward conversations that we might be having at this time of year?
What's next for you? What are you going to do after you finish what you're doing? Have you got a backup plan? What if that doesn't work? Oh, I've never heard of that before. Do you not want to go to uni kind of question? Huge questions that are kind of said in quite a blasé catch-up manner, but it is quite stressful, obviously. Like, I want to be on the telly, and it's kind of like a dramatic scale change, and it's kind of all eyes on you when you ask that big question. Causes a bit of anxiety. I mean, the big question does come more often when you're about to leave school, GCSE years, what you're going to do for college, them kind of time points. But I still definitely get it now because obviously I can't be Stacey Neville forever. So it is always that question of, what are you going to do next? And I do definitely connect with the young people because I know exactly how it feels, because that is kind of the number one question in my career.
So what are the things that we could say to some of our relatives who might be asking what we're going to be doing over the next 12 months?
I think the main thing is arming yourself with knowledge. I mean, the Skills for Life website is full of information, and actually just having a little mess about on there and ticking certain boxes that hit your demographic can show you how much is out there for what kind of career path you want to choose. And it also shows you that you're not locked into one job. You can pivot to other things. And I think they should listen with an open mind and understand that just because they know about uni doesn't mean that there's not other routes for their young person. And I think it's just genuinely having an open mind and not just imposing your views and expectations on that young person.
We're getting into that period where we're thinking about the new year, we're reflecting on the past 12 months, and it's a really good time to be thinking about new opportunities for the future as well.
Yeah, and also by having the knowledge on both sides, the young person can spiderweb, per se, verbally, what their kind of interests are, and then if that older person's got the knowledge, it can kind of collaborate and get you on the right path.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And maybe even turn the tables a little bit. We might have an idea of what we've got planned for the future, but put the emphasis back on them. Say, what do you think is the best opportunity that I can take? Or how can I learn from the experiences you've had in your life? And we can acknowledge what they're saying, but at the same time, it gives us a chance to sit back.
Yeah, and I just think it's also like highlighting the fact that there is things like T-levels, like it's not just uni. Because obviously, if that's the route that it takes you on your dream career, that's absolutely fine. But T-levels need to be talked about just as much, because me personally, I'm a practical learner, so that appeals to me more.
And let's bring in psychotherapist Dr. Aaron Balick, who's the author of the popular young person self-help book, Keep Your Cool. So what other things can we do to have these conversations with our friends and relatives who might be asking what our plans are for 2025?
Yeah, I think a couple of things get mixed up. Adults and family members tend to forget what an intense time that is around that age. Like when you're asking someone, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do in your life? That is a massive existential question to ask someone who's 16, 17 years old to have their whole life track out and prepared and well said in front of them. It's just not really going to happen there. And I think oftentimes the intention is good. Sometimes it's not so. So when there's a good intention, it can be the wrong question to ask or the wrong time to ask it. When there's a little bit of a less good intention thing, that's when you're kind of foisting your own expectations onto your child. I think that you should do this. And the main key for family members, I think, is you think about opening space for discussion rather than getting answers to your questions. So try not to put that young person in the spotlight with a direct question about their choices or what they want to do, but find out where their passions are, what they're interested in, be genuinely curious about what life is like. And if that genuine curiosity is there, then that will open up the person, usually, not in all cases, but your chances are they'll open up to talk about themselves. And then that conversation can organically move into what kind of options there are.
And I think as Tillie was saying there, it's really good to have those positive elements of things that we've got planned for the new year. And it's great to come in from that particular angle because it shows that we've put some insight into what we're going to be doing in the forthcoming months.
I think so too. And also to be just a little bit more comfortable with the unknowns, because there might not be an answer there and that answer can change. So if the person doesn't know quite the direction, to explore with them and wonder about that together. And if there's some anxiety about that, to be able to hold that anxiety together, because oftentimes there's plenty of anxiety in a young person, particularly around exams and around these crunch points, right? Then there's a whole nother level of anxiety in the parents. Are they going to be okay? Are they going to choose something that's financially rewarding? Are they going to be financially safe? Are they going to be happy? And you can't meet that anxiety with a simple answer to a straightforward question. So it's really a conversation that can happen over time, and it's an invitation to space, sitting with some anxiety and sitting with some unknowns. And like you say, the positive encouragement, it's not locked in place. As Tillie said, let's see where we are now. Let's see where we are next week.
Thanks so much. That was Dr. Aaron Balick, who's the author of the popular young person self-help book, Keep Your Cool, and Waterloo Road actor Tillie Amartey.
A space to speak your mind.
Have you ever wondered what your dreams mean or why you dream about certain people or things? Maybe you don't dream at all. Dream expert Teresa Cho Chung joins me now so we can find out a bit more all about this. So thanks for being here, Teresa.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. A real dream.
So what do the recent findings tell us?
Experts who have studied dream research scientifically shown that the parts of the brain associated with dreaming are very active at least 5 to 6 times a night. Whether you recall your dreams or not, you are a dreaming being. And it's a treasure trove of insight if only you can actually get into the habit of recalling your dreams again. Because remember when you were a child, you'd often wake up with wild and crazy dreams on your mind. Some of them probably made you laugh or have a sense of adventure. And it's reconnecting to that ability to wake up in the morning with an amazing dream that can give you insights in your waking life and just help you think outside the box, because that's what dream work is all about. When you recall a dream and start to try and decode it, it's all about giving you an outside the box perspective that you might not have considered when you're awake and rational, because you're totally irrational in the dream state.
So here's the big question. Why do we dream, and what are our dreams trying to tell us?
We dream because we're human beings, and human beings dream. You may as well ask me, why are we alive? And I actually think the more scientists and psychologists study dreams, the more actually closer we get to finding out why we're here, what the meaning of our existence is. I think the two are very connected. So I'm so happy that in recent years there has been more and more sleep and dream research. I'm here because of Premier Inn, who have done a big survey on dreaming. Their customers who sleep in their wonderful hotels and wake up with dreams on their mind, and their customers are eager to share their dreams. I find that fascinating, that more people are actually waking up to their own dream power and wanting to understand what these night visions have to say. But why do we dream? Again, big question mark. But there is a growing body of research to suggest that one of the major reasons we fall asleep, because guess what? Scientists don't know why we sleep either. One of the major reasons we fall asleep is because we urgently need to dream. So next time you feel a bit tired or you're dozing off, it's not actually sleep you need to have a dream. Think of it that way. We sleep to dream.
And what are the most common dreams? We have those dreams maybe about falling, maybe our teeth falling out. I was told once before that was about money, and maybe we're either getting money or not getting money. Is that what it's generally about? Is it about the material things, or is it more of a subconscious about our health maybe?
It can be about the material things. That's the wonder of dream work. Once you get a definition, dreams are a bit elusive. They're like a butterfly. You can't really capture them. They're forever changing. You can never know everything about dreaming. I compare it to the ocean. You can learn to sail an ocean, but you can't know everything about it. And that's what a dream work is. It's learning to navigate the ocean and try and find your way through it. But many dreams are anxiety themed. There are common dreams of teeth falling out, falling, being buried alive. We've all had those kind of awful scenarios. And what the dreaming mind is doing is showcasing to you in a symbolic way, because the language of your unconscious, your intuition, your creativity is symbolism. It doesn't speak to us literally like it would in your waking reality. That's the world of logic and reason. We have a different language there. When we fall asleep and dream, we are pure unconscious, which is intuition and creativity. And the messages that your dreaming mind are trying to say is, look, I'm showcasing for you here in a symbolic work of art or a picture or a story, your current state of mind, because you dream about aspects of yourself. And I'm showing you in this dream what aspects of your current state of mind are helping or hindering your personal growth. So long story short, you are right. It's not about the external so much. It's much more about that internal dialogue you have with yourself, your self-awareness, your current level of self-belief. And that truly matters, because if you have greater self-awareness and self-belief, external reality becomes much easier to navigate. And dreams are our inner compass, trying to help us navigate our external reality, but giving us intuitive pointers, offering us advice about how we can course correct or what attitude or perspective we should apply to a problem that we're currently encounter. Dreams are very, very, very helpful. Think of them almost like an inner compass. But the big problem is that people don't understand how to interpret them. They just think, well, that was crazy. But next time you wake up with that thought, celebrate it, because the whole point of dreams is to be crazy. They are not meant to make sense. reason and logic and a beginning and a middle and an end and on all that rationalization, that's for waking reality. But that's only half of our existence. The other half of our existence is introspection, it's intuition, it's creativity, it's emotions. And a lot of us struggle to understand that aspect of ourselves, which is very, very important. And dream work is trying to help us get more in touch with that aspect of ourselves so that we can have greater balance in our life. Because when our life is all external focused, that we're getting all our validation from the outside in, that is a recipe for unhappiness. Just look at people on the world stage who have it all, but they don't have it all because they haven't found inner peace. Dream work is reminding you to get that essential balance between your intuition and creativity and what you do in the world. If you have it 50-50, external, internal, you are on the path to inner peace. If one of those, the scales tip in the other direction, that's when problems and depressions and feelings of emptiness and what's the point of it all creep in. So dream work is just reminding you that there is a part of you that is so mysterious and untapped, and you will be infinitely happier if you start losing your fear of that part of you and instead try to understand it better.
So we want to embrace our dreams. What can we do to try and remember them a bit better?
Well, before you go to sleep, set the intention to dream. That means take your dreams seriously. Our dreams are so used to being ignored, dismissed and denied. No wonder we struggle to remember them because our brain believes what we tell it. So you're listening to this. I hope that it will encourage you to at least give your dreams a second chance and to maybe think, well, I'd like to have a dream tomorrow morning and see what I can do with it. So go to sleep with that open-minded attitude that maybe dreams have something to say. And I'd like to back it up on research that scientists and psychologists are doing that suggests that regular dream recall is a sign of holistic well-being. There are links between dream recall and active brain and being more creative and having greater self-esteem. Think on that. That might give you renewed interest in your dreaming. So go to sleep with the intention to dream. Stay away from screens and heavy meals before you go to sleep. Journaling, reading in the half an hour before you go to sleep, listening to music. That's a sublime way to sort of like carry you away into dreamland, because when you listen to a piece of music you love, you daydream, don't you? Which is just another way to dream when you're conscious, but you daydream when you listen to music you love. So listen to music, gentle things. And then when you wake up in the morning, keep still. Any kind of physical movement will immediately push those gentle messages from your unconscious away. It can't compete with waking reality. Again, I say it speaks a different language. It's gentle, it's subtle. So keep still just for 1 or 2 minutes. 1 or 2 minutes is all it takes. Don't immediately leap out of bed. Ideally, wake up naturally as well. That's the best way to wake up for dream recall, is naturally, rather than an alarm clock, which will shake you right into conscious waking reality far too quickly. It's not actually that good for your heart as well, alarm clocks. So just be careful with your alarm clock, Luz. Try and wake more naturally more often. And then when you keep still, just let those images, stories, symbols, associations rise to the surface. And as soon as they come, write them down. And then just keywords. You can't write a novel in the morning, you're busy. Then later in the day, have a look at those keywords and see how they are commenting. And they are commenting in a visionary, poetic, artistic way on your waking life, offering you an out-of-the-box perspective, a way to look at your waking life in a different way. And if you think about it, looking at things from a different perspective, taking a leap of faith, is how humanity has moved forward. And I could talk forever about dreams that have literally shifted the world. Einstein was a huge dreamer. The theory of relativity came to him from a vision in a dream. Art, literature, music, inventions, discoveries, games, all sorts of things have been inspired from a vision in a dream. So I hope I've given listeners enough incentive to at least start paying more attention to what their dreams are trying to tell them. And if they struggle to understand them, that's okay. They're not meant to make sense. You're not meant to understand them literally. Like a poem, the first time you read a poem, many people, it's like their mind glazes over. What is this about? And then you go and reflect and you unpick the meanings beneath the surface. That's exactly how you've got to interpret your dreams, like a poem written by you, all about you, to help you learn and grow.
It's absolutely fascinating. If people want to find out more about yourself and also about what we've been talking about today, how can they do that?
Well, if you want to look at some of the research that's been done into dreams, do check out www.byker, premierin.com/dreams. And if you want to have a look at some of my many dream titles, I have written a lot of them. I must be writing them in my sleep. I've lost count. You can check out www.teresachung.com.
Teresa Chung, dream expert and author, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
A space to speak your mind.
I'm Richard. Thanks for listening today. That is all for us for this programme, and we look forward to you joining us next month for the February show right here.
If you missed anything on today's show, you can download the podcast right now on Apple, Spotify and Amazon Podcasts.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear the new episode when it comes out, or listen back to any of our previous programmes.
For support and more information for better mental health, visit cornwallmind.org or call the Mind helpline during office hours
on 0300 123 3393.
The NHS has launched a new crisis helpline. Just call 111 and press 2.
This gives you another way to get urgent help if you're struggling with your mental health.
And you can call the Samaritans anytime for free on 116 123.
If you'd like to be a part of the show, get in contact at spacetospeakyourmind@gmail.com.
And you can also find out more about the show if you follow Cornwall Mind on Facebook or Instagram, or on their website cornwallmind.org.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.